Hey everybody, it's Valerie Ling here, clinical psychologist and affectionately known as Dr. Burnout. I am getting a lot more people actually calling me or emailing me using that. I say affectionate because, it's meant to be something that embodies what I'm about, and the doctor isn't meant really to be a credibility thing, but really just to indicate that what I'm most interested about, obviously, is actually preventing burnout and also remedying it. So I'm coming live to you today because I've had some thoughts in my head around a conversation that happened this week. I'm all about conversations. I think it just sparks clarity and sort of gets you really thinking about things. A conversation about growth mindset. Now this dovetails also with my thoughts about being in a small business environment. Why I love being in a small business environment is because you have front seat tickets to a growth mindset. Now, a growth mindset, the principles, you can Google that. That's really not what I'm talking about. Sometimes we take these things and we study it and then we make it into a formula. But I actually really want to talk about growth in terms of our own sense of mental health and well-being and what it means personally for me. So growth is that thing, right? Like if you've ever done one of those science experiments and you put what looks like a really solid bean into a wet cotton ball and you look at it and you think, what could possibly happen? What could possibly happen? And then a little bud emerges, and then before you know it, you've got like sprouts and shoots, right? How on earth does that happen? How does something so tiny and seemingly in one form transform into something totally different? Well, that's the beauty and the wonder of growth, and that's really what happens within us, deep within ourselves, is a kernel of something that looks like it's in one form, that if you invest in it and if you nurture it, becomes something else. When we are really stuck in busyness and being reactive and just looking at what's 5 centimeters from our toes, we are not in a growth mindset. We're not actually looking at what could be. We're actually only just looking at what is. And a lot of the times, because of the way human beings are and our negative attribution bias, when we're looking at what is, we're most often looking at all the things that are going wrong. If we project that, however, and we actually get a hold of that little seed that's in us that's busting to germinate, it propels us into not only a future thinking, but a possibilities thinking. Looking at what could be that could grow from something that's organic within us. And I like to say that there are 3 areas of growth that I like to have my eye on. And I really encourage you now to start thinking about for your year, next year. 3 areas of growth. The first thing I like to say is it's really great to have an idea for where you want to grow as a human being, just personal growth. Those elements of maturity, those elements of our emotional life, our physical life, our intellectual life. What is it personally that you really want to grow in? And if you really think about what you've been through this year, you can identify either a curiosity that you might have had, something that you might have picked up and then it was like, oh, I'm lost in this, right? What is it for your personal growth that you're really into? So I'm not going to tell you what mine is. You have to come up with your own. Professional growth. Now, doesn't mean that you have to have a job, okay? Your professional growth could also be the things that you're just responsible for in your world. If you spend time at home and you have got domestic responsibilities, if you have child caring? I was going to say rearing. It's probably not a very nice word, but if you're taking care of children, what is it that you are doing that you have responsibility and bring about a sense of achievement for? There might be some areas that you are particularly looking that you can grow in. Maybe it's about a particular way of cooking. Maybe it's a way of organizing. I know I was into the Marie Kondo thing for a while until, honest to goodness, the amount of time required to fold those things into little itty bitty rectangles and get them to stand and get everybody else to do it. Yeah, by Marie Kondo. If your area of responsibility is in a profession, you might identify maybe something that has really frustrated you for most of the year, that you think there's a skill that I could learn, or a theory that I need to pick up, or a way of doing things. So what is that one thing in your professional life? And the final thing, and I think this doesn't get looked at often enough, is when you want to grow in your avocational life. I call it avocational because you're still being purposeful about something, but it's not related to a job or responsibility. The roll your eyes term is hobbies. I don't tend to say that too much because people just switch off. But if you actually really think about this, this is the seat of your curiosity, creativity, sense of adventure. What is that for you? Whether it's actually a growth in a particular craft or hobby or skill or music piece or dance. I pause there because one day that will be on my growth plan, because I do not like dancing in public, but I do an awful lot of it in private. And I could probably have a growth plan for that. Typically for me, it's usually a music piece, something that I'll pick for the year to learn. Now, this is not an intimidating space to be in, to feel like, oh my gosh, I've got to have goals, and what if I can't do it? What if I fail? What I want you to do is to see it as an investment, part of a self-care plan. It's just an investment that you get to see a little seed within you that hasn't had a chance to get nurturing and sunshine and water invested in and germinate, and who knows what direction that could go in. Have you seen those sprouts? They go like in all these different directions. They go everywhere. That could be you on the inside. Have a think about that, will you? All right, see you later.